Welcome to this explainer. Guys, we literally just witnessed a massive tactical and historical shocker in Houston that has completely flipped the script for Group K of the 2026 World Cup. Normally, when a huge tournament favorite steps onto the pitch against a nation returning after a multi-decade absence, you kind of expect the script to write itself, right? But what actually unfolded on the grass of NRG Stadium was an absolute masterclass in resilience, systemic friction, and defensive architecture.
52. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the exact number of years since the Democratic Republic of Congo last appeared at a men's World Cup, having last qualified as Zaire way back in 1974. A full half-century of waiting. So to say their return was highly anticipated, yeah, that's a profound understatement. But to say what they achieved against a star-studded Portuguese side was staggering, well, that's exactly what we're here to unpack today. Okay, let's dive into this. How in the world do you survive a tournament favorite, a team absolutely packed with elite European superstars, when you only hold the ball for 21% of the match? How do you flip the narrative from an expected, completely one-sided blowout into a gripping, genuinely historic draw? To answer that, here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The ultimate underdog story. 2. Clashing tactical ideologies. 3. Possession versus expected goals. 4. The Cristiano Ronaldo conundrum. And finally, 5. A historic Group K upset. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the ultimate underdog story, unprecedented off-pitch hurdles. While Portugal basically enjoyed a totally seamless, resource-rich qualification campaign, DR Congo endured a severe geopolitical and medical crisis just to literally make it to this stadium. On May 15th, a domestic Ebola outbreak was declared. This forced their football federation to completely uproot their training camp and relocate all the way to Belgium in early June. Then, to even comply with strict health regulations to enter the U.S., the entire squad and technical staff had to endure a mandatory 21-day quarantine bubble in Europe. Their preparation was so severely compromised, and travel restrictions meant very few of their actual fans could make the trip to Houston. Moving on to Section 2, clashing tactical ideologies, David versus Goliath on the pitch. And this brilliantly illustrates the tactical chessboard we were looking at. Portugal came out deploying an expansive 4-2-3-1 formation. The goal for them is central possession dominance, basically trying to isolate players out wide by using super aggressive fullbacks like Nuno Mendes and João Cancelo. DR Congo, on the flip side, set up in a 5-3-2. Now, I want to be clear, this wasn't just blindly parking the bus. It was a highly calculated strategy of rigid vertical compactness. They relied on aggressive one-on-one defending on the flanks from wingbacks like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, all combined with a really dangerous counterpunching low block. In those early moments, it honestly looked like Portugal's Goliath strategy was going to easily steamroll them. Just 6 minutes in, we get a breakthrough. Pedro Neto delivers this gorgeous in-swinging cross from the left wing. Teenage midfielder João Neves times his late run absolutely perfectly to glance a clinical header right past goalkeeper Lionel Mpassi. He even celebrated with a really touching tribute to the late striker Diogo Jota. At this point, everyone watching assumed, okay, the floodgates are about to open. But this goal actually wasn't the beginning of a rout. It ended up being the ultimate test of DR Congo's discipline, and they completely refused to break. Instead of crumbling, DR Congo just absorbed all that pressure. And deep into first half stoppage time, at 45 plus 4 minutes, they struck back. They win a crucial late corner, play it short to Arthur Masuaku, who then whips in a pinpoint cross. Yohan Wissa finds himself completely unmarked at the back post and heads home a truly historic equalizer. This exact moment perfectly highlighted a massive vulnerability for Portugal. Without their injured defensive anchor Ruben Dias, that young, unproven center-back pairing of Araujo and Vega suffered a totally catastrophic communication failure on a really simple short corner routine. Which brings us to Section 3, possession versus expected goals, the illusion of control. To the naked eye, it really looked like Portugal was completely running the show. I mean, just look at these halftime possession numbers. Portugal held a commanding 79% of the ball. They completed an absolutely staggering 480 passes in the first half alone. Meanwhile, DR Congo had a mere 21% possession and only managed to complete 101 passes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the expected goals, or XG, at halftime. This reveals a massive statistical paradox hiding right beneath all that possession data. XG basically measures the actual quality of scoring chances. Despite seeing barely any of the ball, DR Congo actually created far superior scoring opportunities, registering .58 expected goals compared to Portugal's incredibly low .07. Think about that. They had a fraction of the possession, but were infinitely more dangerous when they actually had it.
So why did this happen? Well, because keeping the ball simply doesn't matter if you can't do anything threatening with it. Portugal's horizontal passing heavily lacked the vertical penetration required to break down DR Congo's incredibly well-coached back five. Their attack became super predictable. DR Congo's defense was perfectly content to just absorb the pressure, letting Portugal harmlessly pass side to side all afternoon. They knew they could just spring dangerous counterattacks, like when Cedric Bakambu nearly scored by hitting the post in the second half.
Let's talk about Section 4, the Cristiano Ronaldo conundrum, tactical stagnation.
This brings us to what we're calling the Ronaldo conundrum. It's basically the tactical stagnation that happens when you deploy a static penalty box poacher who really lacks defensive pressing. Look, in modern football, when your solitary focal point up top doesn't press the defense, it allows the opposition's center backs to comfortably build out from the back without an ounce of pressure. It also means your own team has a severely limited ability to stretch the defensive lines vertically.
So, the crucial point is this. Because Ronaldo rarely darted off the line or occupied the half spaces, DR Congo's central defensive trio of Mbemba, Tuanzebe, and Kapwadi could very easily double-team him, at the exact same time their wingbacks pushed wide to shut down Portugal's crossing lanes. This specific setup completely neutralized Ronaldo, and in turn it forced Bruno Fernandes to drop way deeper just to get a touch on the ball, which effectively neutralized Portugal's main creative engine too.
Finally, Section 5. A historic Group K upset, fallout and resilience.
Here is a look at the Group K standings right after the final whistle. The immediate impact of this 1-1 draw is just massive. Portugal and DR Congo sit tied at the top with 1 point each. In a really short tournament format where literally a single mistake can derail an entire campaign, DR Congo has proven that the heavily favored giants are entirely vulnerable. They've drastically altered the trajectory of this group before Colombia and Uzbekistan have even played their first match. Before the match, DR Congo head coach Sébastien Desabre said something pretty powerful. He said, "We have 100 million Congolese people who will be watching us. We want to show courage." And honestly, they did far more than just show courage. They showed immense tactical discipline, ridiculous physical resilience, and a brilliant collective mentality. They carry the emotional weight of a nation that has waited 52 years for this exact moment. And they delivered a truly unforgettable performance against one of the deepest rosters in world football.
Which leaves us with a fascinating, pretty provocative thought to carry with us as the rest of the World Cup unfolds. Does 79% possession truly matter if it ultimately costs you the element of surprise? It is a stark reminder that in modern football, having the ball is just an illusion of control if you don't have the actual tactical edge to use it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on Group K, guys. It is just getting started.